Hey everybody, Ian Maddox, HMFP, connecting with you on our Financial Planning Simplified video series. As has been the case many times over the last few years, we've tried to pick appropriate locations for shooting video. And today I am sitting in front of Cahaba Elementary School. This is actually my own personal neighborhood. My son attended this school, and we have this beautiful American flag behind us. We're standing here because I know for our school district and many in our community and county, we're about ready to go back to school. And that's probably true for many folks around the country. Unfortunately, it's also a very contentious and stressful time because of world situations, because of COVID-19. I just want you to know that our thoughts and prayers are with you. And so we're standing here. Today, a figure of speech came to mind. And it's easy to get bogged down in the negative, right? But a figure of speech came to mind, and it's this: may you live in interesting times. We've all probably heard that. Some attribute it to a Chinese curse. That sounds bad. The idea is that status quo is just stability, right? We're just kind of going through life, normal operations. Yes, we may have individual stresses, but life is generally smooth. Then you get curveballs, right? We get curveballs like war. We get curveballs like disease. We get curveballs like whatever, stock market crisis, whatever it may be. We get curveballs. And so that's what makes things interesting. And so that's the reality. If anything is 2020, it is certainly interesting. I think we would all say that. We would all agree with that. And I think that I don't think this, we know this, that people generally fall into three categories when they view the world, right? What lenses do we see life through? And so you have optimists, you have pessimists, and then in the middle you have pragmatists. The reality is that we probably all look towards the pragmatist mentality and say that's ideal. If it's a scale of 1 to 100, the pragmatist is right there in the middle of 50. Nobody really hits that though. We all lean one way or the other. Me personally, I lean towards the optimist side of the pragmatist, and then others lean towards the pessimist. And that's fine, it is what it is. You know, glass half full, glass half empty. But what I want to say today is that it's easy to get bogged down in the negative. They say that the second best seller, the second best salesman is sex. The first best salesman is fear. And so we see a lot of that in the world. Turn on the news. It's fear, 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 fear. It keeps your eyeballs glued to stuff. But there are actions we can take. And having a plan and taking action will give you a sense of control. Do we have ultimate control? We do not. But there is no reason not to make wise decisions and make a plan. And so I wanted to give you some practical things that can happen. This is, yes, COVID-19 is August 2020, but it could be any crisis. And I'm going to tie this into financial things specifically. Our world, and specifically the Western world, United States especially, has not done a great job of financial planning. We do not have cushion. We do not have margin. We certainly have lots of stuff. There's wealth and money and material possessions galore everywhere. But when we have a curveball that's thrown at us, when we have stress, we sometimes aren't positioned as well as we should be. So let me just run through a couple of things. One, this is a great opportunity to boost your cash reserves. Now, in an ideal world, you'd have, 3 to 6 months of cash reserves set aside so that if your income is reduced, your job is eliminated, maybe one spouse has job eliminated, whatever, you have something to back yourself up to, right? Something that gives you some margin. Think about a castle with a moat. Why did they build moats? It gives you some margin, protection from the outside world, and so it makes sense to set some cash aside. Now, I'm not talking about enough cash to pay for all of your lifestyle expenses. I'm talking about your core bills. That way you don't get evicted, you don't get a letter from the mortgage man, your power stays on, all of those things. They're very practical things, and I promise even people in this country that you would assume are okay positioned have had troubles with some of this stuff. So this is a great opportunity to boost your cash. Continue to save for retirement. If you can, don't stop your 401k allocation just because things are wild. Just keep doing it. Just put blinders on and move forward. Same goes for your allocation, how you're actually invested. I know that I have commented over the years on different ways you can, kind of fudge left, fudge right, curve left, curve right with your allocation. And that's no problem. But what I mean is that you don't need to be doing wholesale changes. You don't need to go to cash or go to all one asset class. That's not necessary. Generally speaking, you want to have a plan and stick to it. You may jog a little bit each direction, but that's about it. Don't let these curveballs cause you to stop swinging. If you think about the baseball analogy, the best hitters keep swinging, right? And then lastly, This has to do with debt. And I'm going to tell you about debt that I want you to take out, but it's in perspective. So if we think about this in concentric circles of risk, the cash is your first line of defense. But let's say you haven't gotten to a position now. I'm just being realistic. Maybe you don't have 3 months. Maybe you don't even have a month, and you're now in emergency mode, and you're pulling out that plastic card to swipe for something, to pay for groceries, to pay for food, to pay for school, whatever it is. I would rather see you take out a home equity line of credit. I think I may have touched on this in another video series, but the interest right now is so low, it makes more sense to have access to credit on your home equity than a credit card that's running at 16, 18, 20% clip versus home equity lines, which are running at 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, depending on your credit situation, a much lower rate. So again, concentric circles of risk, that's better debt than credit card debt. Hope that makes sense. Anyhow, always want to be helpful and practical. If we can ever be of help, give us a shout. Ian Maddox, HMFP. Till next week.